Hey family, welcome to another episode of Healing the Soul podcast. So glad you guys decided to tune in because today I am co-hosting with my husband on this episode.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's been a while, but I hope everybody's been good. It's been like a few months, right?
It's been a little minute.
Yeah, well, my wife's been hounding me, and so I'm here with you guys, and I'm here to, just have a good time. Before we even continue, I just want to, just celebrate my wife. She's been doing a fantastic job, reaching out to you guys, providing healing in so many facets, so many ways. And babe, I just want to celebrate you and just give you a hand clap.
Thanks, baby. Yeah. Listen, as he said I've been hounding him, but I like to say I've just been just a little tap on the shoulder. The semester has been a lot for him, and I feel like together, there's a lot that we both have to say. I know that there's a message of hope and healing and restoration and all of that, that God has given me, but I feel like together we make an impact, and we both have a lot to share as a union. So, I've just been the little tap on the shoulder. But I'm glad that, he's on today. I'm glad you're joining me.
Yeah, happy to be here.
And today we are going to unpack this conversation is gonna be lessons in love. That's what we're gonna call it. We're gonna call it Lessons in Love. We just celebrated our 1 year anniversary as a married couple.
Yeah.
Shout outs to us. And I feel like so the podcast is about healing, right? And I feel like one of the things that I've learned, right? One of the things that I've learned is even in marriage, right? There's still parts of you that you realize that needs growth, that needs healing, that needs all of those different things. And in our first year of marriage, I could say that I learned a lot. I won't speak for you, but I could say that I learned a lot. And I feel like there's people out there who desire to be married. There's people out there who are married. There's people out there who are single and maybe, one day hopes to be married. And if it's anything that we could provide, maybe just us unpacking some of the lessons that we've learned in year one.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if you wanted to go ahead and start off with that.
So what have I learned so far in year one of marriage? First of all, let me just start by saying this. I would say that I feel like a lot of times when people are coming into marriage, when people are coming into relationships, right, you have this picture on how you expect for things to be. You have and especially I would say, I'm gonna speak for women, especially women, we have this idea of what we expect for marriage to be. And honestly, from what movies show, from what social media shows, from what all of these different things, from what society shows within marriage, and the fairy tales, if you grew up watching Disney, what all of these things show, they show the happily ever after, but they don't show the part that marriage is work.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I feel like I've learned in year one is that marriage is work. And I say that I remember we were having a conversation one day. Listen to this, y'all. We were having a conversation one day, right? And hear our hearts, because we don't really let people into our world, but we felt led by God to do this, so here we are. But we were having a conversation one day, and I'm mind you, my husband has a variety of different things that's on his plate, and as I do as well. But I was saying to him one day, I'm like, babe, how come you act like marriage is work? And he was like, what? He looked at me like I had 5 heads. He was like, marriage is work. Like, it's where I want to be. It's what, like, you know, it's what I want. It's where I want to be. Like, but we can't dismiss the fact that it's work. And I was sitting there and he was like, I don't know what fairy tale you had in your mind, but it's work. And I was like, and for me, that was like such a defining moment, because I feel like as a little girl, for my entire life coming into marriage, I just always thought like sugar, roses, everything nice. Like, I didn't think about the fact that marriage is dying to self. I didn't think about the fact that marriage is like sometimes compromising and putting your feelings aside. Like, I didn't think about, you know, that marriage is sacrifice. I didn't think about all of these things. I was like, I thought about the happily ever after. And I'm like, when we had that conversation, I was like, you know what? Marriage is work. Like, I can't even lie. Like, I can't even, you know, and a lot of times, like, women, we go into things and all we have in our mind is the happily ever after. And of course, the serving part, but just like really, I feel like the happily ever after, and not really mindful of the fact that, yo, this is work.
Yeah. I think you really hit it right on the nose. For me, I really like the dying to self factor. I think for me, that was really the biggest thing for me in terms of one of the major things I learned from marriage in our first year. So I think, I don't know if you guys remember, but from the last time we spoke, I gave a little bit of background of my life concerning like, you know, the household I was raised in. It was just me, myself and I, and my mom. And I was just used to having everything, just to myself. I was used to being to myself. I was used to, I would come home and, food would be on the stove. And if, there would be no need for me to like, just tend to anything else but but myself, so to speak. Like, if I had like, schoolwork or whatever it may be, I, tended to that. There was no need to like, share my time. I think that's a major thing, because I want to speak to my fellas out here just for a brief moment. Just imagine this. Just keeping in mind, again, like my own background, just being like to myself, you had a long day at work, you just dealing with a lot. You have to take that long drive home. You have to like, just go ahead and, just deal with the day, deal with the stresses of the day and all of that nature. But then you just come home and you got to have a conversation. There's somebody else in the picture, that you have to, continue to, just tend to something bigger than yourself. There were, if I'm gonna be honest, there were, some days where, I had like, a long day at work. I had like, so much going on in my mind. And what I came home to at times was just like, just having a conversation. That may seem, to some that may seem small, that may seem, something insignificant, but that's a major part of marriage, communication. It's not like, I had to realize within myself, it's not just like going to work. Again, like you guys know that I'm in school, or going upstairs, shutting the door, and just tending to my schoolwork. But no, there's other feelings you have to consider. There's other feelings I had to consider. There's other things that I had to prioritize. And I had to come home, and even if when I didn't want to, I had to,
tell the people the truth.
Yeah, I had to, really take my wife's feelings into consideration here. Like, I was away from her. She was away from me for, 8 hours, 10 hours out of the day. And so now it's like, okay, let me come home. Let's rekindle. Let's like, just have that conversation. Let's continue to, continue to have this marriage going.
Yeah.
it's not like I could put things on pause.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a major thing that people have to learn. Like you can't just put things on pause. Like you're part of my life. I'm part of your life. We're one. We're united. So it's considering you in every step of the day, every step that I take. Even having those conversations, like if I'm on lunch break or something like that, like giving you that call, hey, how you doing, babe? These little things, those small things, they matter, but again, they seem small, but for me and the household that I was raised in, it was a major adjustment for me because it's not like I was really communicating much. To be honest, like my mom was just like small conversations here and there. You spoke about expectations. For me, expectations was just like having food on the table. I could say this because you mentioned this in one of the episodes, so for me, like expectations was like all right, food's gonna be on the table. Not much conversation. I could just tend to myself, and then that's that. But in this case, now being married, and especially like reflecting on the past year, we move as one. Everything we do as one. If I gotta wait till midnight for dinner, listen, that's just
Why
what
would
it
you
is.
stretch it like that?
Listen, that's what it is. Like dying to self. That's so powerful, babe. Because yeah, that's really a major thing. A major part of dying to self is just making adjustments. Making adjustments to what she likes, what she wants me to tend to. All of these things. That's one of the major things that I want to say I learned in the past year.
Wow, and it's so funny. Like even so I guess with some of the things that you mentioned, I guess like that kind of points to one of the things that I learned, right? So the way that, as Daniel mentioned about his background, the way that we grew up is very different. Like I grew up, as I had said before, in a household with like me, my siblings, like my parents, everybody is just so vocal, everybody is so expressive. We all like, we gonna sit down at the dinner table together, talk, all of that stuff. Like if there's an issue, me and my sisters is hashing it out, whether that's like a conversation or argument. But like I grew up where everyone in the household is very expressive, very vocal. And for me, a conversation comes easy. Like a conversation, having a discussion is easy. Like talking about your day is easy. Having a conversation about some things that's on your mind is easy, because this is something that, for me, it was practiced in the household.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I would say is that I learned is having to embrace someone's background, embrace their differences. Like, okay, we are not the same. We're not the same. We're two different individuals who had two very different lives and very separate lives prior to this time period of us. Like even before before marriage, like from the relationship, okay, we build friendship, or from the friendship we build relationship, let me say that. But it's like I still have to acknowledge our differences and how our backgrounds is very much different. And so that kind of like, I guess one of the things that I would say is that taught me to, one, like be gracious, to extend grace, and then also be patient. Like things are not going to, as you are one, as a couple, you're one. But the thing is, I remember my mom shared this at our wedding. She said marriage is always becoming. And that statement was so powerful, because it's like, you really are always becoming. Like you are always becoming. And there are some things that may happen quick, and there are some things that may take more time. Some things it may be a process, but you got to be patient. Like some things just don't happen overnight, and you can't expect a background, a past that someone has come from for their whole entire life. They've been living this way, and then boom, within like a matter of a year, you know, like expecting things to change. Like you gotta just be patient. You gotta extend grace. So for me, I would say one of the lessons that I've learned is just that, like, one, embracing a person's background and embracing where you've come from, and you know, like what was the norm, and embracing all of that. And though the goal is to adjust and like even adjust, and like I would say, like some things kind of like break out of some things, it's like at the same time, as a wife, as a helpmate, I have to be gracious, I have to be patient in the midst of like while transition, while changes is happening. And then the same for you, like there's parts of me where it's like, okay, where you're adjusting to, and it's like, and I know that you're just as patient and you're just as gracious, and like even if some things, like you said, like you don't feel like sometimes it's just like, yo, like I'm not used to this, I'm not used to like coming home and having a thorough conversation or whatever, like, and it's just like, but in order to tend to you, I have to do this, I have to show up. So I feel like in a sense that's still like, that's being gracious as well, like that's extending grace. It's like, this is the, you know, a measure that I'm willing to go for you. So
yeah, that's real good. Even to just continue touching upon the patient factor, I think for me that was also important, to not only being patient with just how, you know, like in terms of like adjusting to things pertaining to the marriage, but I think it was also important for me to be patient with myself also. For me to know that, listen, it's not a race, it's a marathon, we're always becoming. And so
I like that.
and so I it's like I also learned that I also have to be patient with myself. You know, I have to be gracious with myself as well, you know, and to really, like, you know, celebrate those small moments, you know, where I'm noticing growth within myself, you know, because growth within myself ultimately results in growth within the marriage.
Right.
You know, I'll never forget one of my professors. This was, I believe, in my first year, where he gave an example of marriage. He said if one individual is an 8 and the other individual is a 4, and this could be, you know, you could the number could be related to anything as it pertains to a marriage, but if one individual is the 8, the other individual is the 4, then the most that marriage could be at that moment in time is a 4.
Wow.
You know, that was a major, and this was before we got married, but that really stuck with me because it really, he was basically saying that it really takes the effort of the individual. Like, you know, you have to put in that work within yourself, not for the only for the purposes of yourself, but for the purposes of that person that you're going to be spending the rest of your time, the rest of your time or the rest of your life with. You know, so I think as I grew more patient within myself, and I really got to learn more about myself, not only before marriage, but like within this past year, I could really, like, you know, just extend myself even more grace, because there's areas, obviously, like, you know, nobody's perfect, but there's areas within myself that I know I still need to work on, and that's okay. You know, that's okay, but it's good that you're aware of that. So being patient within yourself, I believe, in a sense, it shows that you're aware. You're aware within yourself, aware with things that, you know, that you need growth in, things that you need to, like, you know, just continue to take it day by day, and continue to, you know, just give yourself that pat on the back and be like, listen, at the end of the day, there's going to be, you know, mistakes. There's going to be, you know, just different things, you know, but at the end of the day, we're in this together. And as I continue to grow, as I continue to be more patient with myself and continue to, you know, just grow, at the end of the day, it's going to be growth within the marriage. So, I would say that.
For sure. I like that, extending yourself some grace, because I feel like there were moments where I had to, like, also be gracious with myself too. And you saying that just made me like, it just made me reflect back to those moments. Like, and then also I would say, even with me remembering the moments where I had to extend grace to myself, I'm reminded of your response. And that, like, I could think of, since you brought up the whole dinner thing and you wanted to be facetious on this here podcast, talking about some, if you gotta wait till midnight, like, you played, but
I was just playing, yeah, somewhat.
No, but I'm thinking about time periods like, I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna run with that whole dinner thing since you mentioned it. I'm thinking about, and it's so funny because I mentioned that on the last episode, like, but I'm thinking I'm gonna use that for example. So I remember there were time periods, like, as you guys know, right? There's different things that I'm managing or I'm juggling as well, and so I remember there were times throughout the day where it's like, okay, I'm tending to something for like my actual 9 to 5, and then it's like, or I'm tending to something for the podcast, or I'm tending for something for church, for ministry, and it's like just tending to a number of different things. And it's like in my heart, right, in my heart, it's like, okay, all of these different things is on my plate, but I still have to make sure that I'm tending to my husband. I still have to make sure that I'm showing up as a wife. And so I remember there were time periods where it's like, I'll feel bad if I'm like, dang, like, I'm finally off this meeting for like, because right after working, it's like something else I have to tend to. Then I have to like be on a leadership meeting or something like that, or like be on Bible studies. And it's like, okay, now that all of this is now over, dang, like, I'm cooking dinner and it's kind of late. And I'll feel bad, like, internally. I'll be cooking, and like, me cooking, that's my I'm in my zone. I play my little music. Sometimes I play instrumentals. I'm just like walking around the kitchen. I'm just doing my thing. So there's time periods where I remember just internally kind of like dang, like feeling bad or something like that. And it's like, I have to still extend myself grace too. Like, listen, sis, there's a lot on your plate and you're managing it all. And like, okay, like maybe every day you can't have dinner for like 7:30, 8 o'clock and like, whatever the case may be, like, but it's okay. And I remember even in those moments, your response, like, listen, babe, like, it's fine. Like, or even when dinner is finally done and we at the table and you like, yo, nah, this is good. And I'm like, all right, was it worth the wait? Like, those little things, it was subtle, the feelings that I had like internally where it's like, dang, like, I didn't, like, me just being kind of hard on myself, like, I don't want to drop the ball in no area or something like that. And so just like the response coming from you, that would like settle some feelings. So being gracious, like you said, being gracious with yourself, and then also just me appreciating the fact of who I'm with, like the person that I'm with. It's understanding. Like, you get me. You're understanding. You're patient and you're gracious.
Yeah.
So,
I think you touched upon that really well. The affirmations part, I think that's another real key. It doesn't even matter what kind of day you're having. One of the major things I learned is like, affirmations on a consistent basis, they really matter. She touched upon it like really well. She just said, even when, it's a late dinner or whatever the case may be, me speaking about how good the food is, something small just like that, it could change things around. Like, you mentioned about everything that you're managing, everything that I'm managing, just those moments of, hey babe, you're doing great, babe, you're killing it, like things like that. It gives you like, just the strength to keep on going, to keep on taking the day, continue to strive. I think that's real important. Another thing I would say, and I said this to you when we went out to dinner on our year anniversary, is the importance of like celebrating. I forgot what the question was that I asked you, but I know when the ball was basically on my court, I was talking about like, celebrating, just moments, or celebrating how much we accomplished. I think that, along with everything else, is just like real important. You know, just taking the time to reflect and to really, like, you know, celebrate. In reflecting, within the past year, just really taking that moment to not only affirm but to, like, you know, celebrate. I think those are two different things. Affirming is like, you know, even, you know, when things, you know, aren't really looking good or what have you, there are words that, like, you know, that could bring life, you know, that could bring you strength, that could keep you like going. But then there are, like, celebrating is really like, you know, there were good moments. You know, there are a lot of good moments. We are in a place where it's just like, you know, the favor of God is on us. Like, you know, the favor of God is evident, and we gotta, like, celebrate those moments where God really showed his favor. You know, especially as, like, you know, sometimes some days there may be like challenges or things of that nature, but to really, like, celebrate those days, those moments where God really showed his hand. You know, and what celebrating looks like is it could be more than words. It could be, you know, like going out, you know, going out and just, like, you know, just enjoying the day, just, you know, having, like, you know, like joking around, whatever it is, like, you know, really celebration has its own, has, like, you know, looks different. You know, there are different ways to, like, you know, show celebration. And so I think, you know, celebration goes a long way as well.
I agree with both things that you said. Like, you know, I'm good for an affirmation. And when you were talking about affirmations, I remember when we were just friends, and I'm telling you, guys, listen, we were genuinely just friends. Like, you know, it wasn't like, we both knew that the chemistry was there. We both knew that, like, there were feelings there, but at this point, we didn't act on them. Like, we didn't even really flirt. Like, it was like rare that we even flirted at this point. It was just, we both know it's chemistry there. It's undeniable, but we just friends. And so I remember one time in conversation, I'm a person that, like, just words of affirmation is really a part of my DNA. Like, that's just how I am. So I don't remember what I was saying to Daniel, but I probably was, like, just giving words of affirmation. And this man said to me, he said, you know something, you're gonna make a really great, he said, you're gonna be, he said something along the lines of, like, your words, like, it's gonna really give life to your husband and to your children. And I'm in my head, like, I'm trying to give words of life to you for the rest of my life. Like, like, I'm trying to speak life to your children for the rest of my life. Like, but no, I'm only serious. No, but but I was just like, oh, thank you. So then, like, fast forward to now, where just being married, that's like my love language. That's one of my love languages, words of affirmation. And that's something that I feel like we strive, like, we strive to do. Like, that's something that we're adamant about. Like, times where my husband was in the kitchen, he's like, oh, you know what, like, I'm a cook this time or whatever, you know, once or twice throughout the year. This 1 year, no, I'm just kidding, it's been wow, like 3 times in total. No, but
you have to do that.
No, that's payback for you saying midnight dinner. But just, like, even those moments, like the times where he's cooked and he's like, babe, I haven't been in the kitchen in a little minute, like, but I want to do this for you. Like, oh, you know, like, it's the day before your birthday and I want to cater to you. Like, just these little things. And it's like, I feel like sometimes we're hard on ourselves. Like, well, do I like how this came out? And I'm just like, babe, this is bomb. Like, I'm taking pictures. I'm taking pictures. And the whole 9, because it's like, I'm gonna affirm you. First of all, the food really was good, but yeah, I'm good. Excuse me for a minute, sorry about that, y'all. But yeah, just moments, just like, even in that, like, affirming like you went out your way, you bust down in the kitchen for me, like this is amazing. Or even just making sure I'm mindful of, I'm gonna compliment you, I'm gonna affirm you even in that. Like no one else don't have to tell you, oh, you're handsome. No one else don't have to tell you like you're the best thing since sliced bread. No one else don't have to do that. Like I'm just using that as an example.
Where did that come from? Since sliced bread?
I heard that on a song. It was a song by Angie Stone. She was like, the best thing since sliced bread.
Sliced bread.
Basically, like you're the best thing since a long time ago. You know, bread's been around for a while.
Okay.
Yeah. So the best thing since sliced bread. Like, I'm just saying though, like I'm just giving, just giving a little example, like, but yeah, like I'm big on affirmations, and I feel like that's something that's very evident amongst us. And also, you mentioned like celebrating, like whether it's the small victories, celebrating the milestones, like that is another thing that I would say that I'd commend us for, because I'm reminded it'll be like the littlest thing and we'll be like, so like what we doing, like let's go out, or like what,
take a trip,
right, let's take a trip. Or like, what, listen, the semester just ended, let's do this. Like I remember just randomly in the summertime, I don't even remember what it was like, what, we just finished a wedding, we just finished like all of these different things, and then not only that, you had concluded the semester. We was like, what, let's go for a weekend, like let's do Cape May, and let's just like not answer our phones, and it's just like, it's the little things. Like we hit 6 months, we was like, all right, like where we going out to eat to? Like we hit 6 months. It was just like, just those little things. And then honestly, even some random moments where it's just like, yo, it's a Friday night, we not answering our phone. By 6 o'clock when we sign off for work, it's over. It's clicked for everything else, and we doing a date night. Like just randomly, like just celebrating life, just because, celebrating each other, just because. There was one thing that I was about to say, but it just like slipped my mind. Oh, you know what I was about to say? I remember in the beginning, kind of, sort of, one day, when you made a joke like, yo, your family celebrate for every little moment.
I definitely
You was like, yo, your family celebrate every little moment. Like, yo, it's this person's 3rd month, like it's this person's 6-month birthday. Like we celebrate, and like your family celebrates everything. And you made the joke, and I'm like, yo, that's really true. Like we really have celebrations for everything. And it's like, but we turned around and we end up celebrating like just every small little moment. And I feel like that's something that's significant. Like, and I agree, it really does go a long way.
Yeah. No, it just made me think about the 6-month anniversary. Remember?
Oh, what, when we went out?
Yeah, like it was like 6 months, and it was just like, yo, this is a big milestone. Let's go out and eat. Let's go out and do that.
It is a big milestone, though.
Yeah.
It is a big milestone. I mean, it's a half a year. Like, it's a milestone.
Got a haircut. You got your hair done. All of that.
Right. Oh man. What would you say is? Wait, is that all the lessons that you learned?
Yeah. I'll just pack it up just like that. Just learning communication, understanding that's beyond you, that you're one. Understanding patience, and understanding to celebrate.
Yeah.
Those are three major things.
Okay. Is there any advice you would give, like, someone seeking to be married, or someone who is, I mean, I know we just have a year under our belt, but it's like, what would you say to a new married couple, or just someone that's seeking to be married?
Man, that's a deep question. I would say, just after, you know, obviously, like, you know, seeking God about it, just really, you know, seeking God in prayer about it, concerning the marriage or the upcoming marriage, future marriage, is just learning that, like, you know, it's it's the it's the little things. I think that would be a great start, to, you know, as you're, like, you know, going towards marriage, or, like, you know, you already started the marriage. It's the little things. Like, don't forget about the little things, because as you'll see, or as we'll see also, 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, 20 years down the line, 25, 50, um, we'll see how much, like, you know, the small things that, you know, people don't really consider, how much of a long way that, those small things make, in a marriage. I think it's important, to notice the, like, you know, just the little things, that your spouse, or your future spouse, the small things that she does, that he does, that you guys do together. I want to say, like, you know, a good example. We didn't even realize it until maybe probably, like, what, the third week into our marriage, where, you know, when you're cooking dinner, or, you know, you're making a big meal, we we bring out the, like, you know, the special plates, but then the leftovers the next day, we bring out the paper plates, because we don't want to be washing them dishes every single day. You know, just small things like that. But I'm mentioning that because it's just showing, you know, how much we flow together. You know, you're noticing the patterns of certain things, of, you know, how you and your spouse will function, as a unit, as one. You know, you'll notice that, you know, as that goes into other areas, whether, like, you know, if you're going, towards, like, you know, tackling endeavors together, you'll notice, like, the way that either, you know, how you flow, how your spouse flows, how you guys flow together. That will be very important. People would consider that as, like, you know, the small things, but I think that those are major things. Those are major keys, because I think that gives, like, you know, indicators of how your marriage will flow, how the relationship will continue to develop, how the relationship will continue to grow. I think that's one of the advices I would give, is to pay attention to, like, you know, the small things, what she likes, like, what you like, you know, just small things like that. I think those things go a long way, in terms of, like, you know, the functioning of how, like, the successes of, marriage.
I like that. I like that a lot, because the little things really do matter. And I always say that, like, the little things really do matter, like, in so many different aspects. Even just, like, you considering, like, you being mindful of what your spouse has going on, what you being mindful of what they have on their plate, like, what can I do to help lighten the load? What can I do to serve you? What can I do to, you know, help you out, to assist you in this? And just, like, because I feel like that gives the reassurance, that gives the reminder, like, you're not in this alone. You're not in this walk called life. You're not on this journey alone, and you have a helpmate that's willing to jump in the ring and remain in the ring with you. So what is it that you need me to help? Like, what is it that you need me to aid you in? You know, like, you know, whether it's, like, words, whether it's prayer, whether it's an act of service, like, it's like, what can I do to show up for you, to kind of, like, help make things easy, help ease things, like, and that's just, like, whatever that looks like. Even, like, you know, we keep on using the example about just things around the kitchen, but it's like, all right, if I cook the major meal, just something as simple as, like, taking care of the dishes, something as simple as, like, you know, just like that simple act of service, that will go a long way. That would mean a lot. And it's like, it looks like it's something little, but it really does go a long way after somebody is like, yo, I just went all out in the kitchen, and you showed up and you handled the dishes, like, you know. And so it's just, like, it's really the little things, or simply, to be honest, like, something like, we're talking about little things, and I'm gonna veer away a bit from the kitchen, but it's just, like, something as thoughtful as, like, yo, I was out today, and for me, like I feel disloyal sometimes if I buy food or something like that. If I happen to be out in the street and like I buy food, it's like I know I'm out. My husband is at work. He ain't worried about like what I'm eating in this moment, but I'm gonna just bring home some food for you too, because like, you know, because it's like I thought of you. Or if I'm out in a store and I'm getting something, it's like, hey, like, babe, look, I thought of this, like I thought of you and I got this. Or just simply something as simple as like just having a note, finding a note somewhere that, you know, that you've left. Like I'm thinking about even the moments where I came home from getting my hair done, and like you left like a note or a letter with some flowers. And then for me, when I went away on a work trip, and it's like I left notes all around the house, so when my husband came home, it's like, look, I'm not here for the next day or something, but when you go in the fridge, you're going to see a note on the front of the fridge. When you look in the mirror, you'll see a note there. When you wake up by the bed, you're going to see a note there, because it's like, I want you to know, even in my absence, it was notes everywhere.
Yeah.
But in the office, in your office, there was notes, but it's like, I just want you to know, in my absence, like, though I'm physically not present in the home with you, like, still, I want you to know that I'm thinking of you every moment, every second. And those, it seems like something so little, and it might even seem like something that's like, to a guy, that may be something that's a little cheesy, you know. But it's just like, I don't care if it's cheesy or not, like I'ma still do, just because I want you to know that, look, I'm thinking of you, like you're on my mind. And yeah.
If you guys didn't realize or notice already that we're major foodies, we're using examples of the kitchen, like going out to eat, saving lunch or what have you. Like we're major foodies there. But we wanted to use those to like really emphasize, you know, a part of the, like, you know, advice in terms of like what you asked. You know, just take notes, like, you know, like take mental notes on okay, like I noticed that, you know, you like this, I noticed that you like that. Just taking like, you know, mental notes on those things. Like we said, like we keep on emphasizing, those small things matter, and they go a very long way. And we already seeing, like, you know, the benefits of it. We're already seeing that before our very own eyes. So those small things, for those of you that are looking to get married, those of you who started married, we're right there with you guys, and hopefully you guys could, you know, touch upon it as well, and confirm it as well, that the small things, they really do go a long way. Taking that time to really, like, you know, just observe, and to really, like, you know, take those mental notes, seeing how you guys operate together. I feel like, you know, I can't stress it enough. You'll see how much, how beneficial it is in other areas of marriage.
Yeah. And one thing I would say, just to add to, so it's two things that I want to say with like the advice that I would leave. One of them is, if you are a person who is looking to be married, you know, you are married, even because this could go even for folks who are married. Like, one thing that I would say is so important is to love a person how the person desires to be loved. Like, you can think that in your mind, one of the ways that you know to show love is by doing, just by like doing a specific thing. You may think that that's one of the ways that, like, this is how I show love. But
guys, you know why she's saying this? Because she wants, like, you know, day by day. Is it alright if I say this? Every day.
Whatever, pop your junk.
She wants the smooches, the hug, the caressing, and I'm fine with that. But then there are days where, like, you know, I want to practice my wrestling moves, and, you know, I want to give like a DDT or a power bomb, and, you know, she's not with all of that. And so, you know, that's how I show love at times. You know, I could give her a little noogie or something, you know, but she doesn't like that. She wants the everyday smooches and the caressing, the soft Daniel.
Yeah, you
know?
like hold me, all that. Hold me, love me, rub me, all of that stuff. Like, don't be out here. I'm like, yo, I be like, I'm not one of your homies. Like, what's wrong with you? You think I'm a homeboy? Like,
No, but go ahead. I will let you flow.
oh my gosh. No, but that's not why I was saying that. That's not why I'm saying that. Like, you got to think about it also. Like, there's people out there where for them, their expression of love may be, like, for example, I'm gonna go like by the whole love language thing, right? So for a person, their love language may be like acts of service, and how their partner receives love is quality time. So you're out here doing, and like you thinking that you're fulfilling your spouse's desires or wishes, right? Because you're doing, and it's just like, nah, but I just want your time. Like, I just want you to just, like, I just want to, whether it's just sit in the space with you, or whether it's go away, or whether it's just like to just be in the moment. But it's like, I just want your time. And you think that you're like giving what the person's desiring because you're doing. And it's just like, but that's not how the person receives love. So it's like also being mindful of the fact that, hey, while you and how you show love, you show your love language, but also keep in mind the person, how they receive love or how they perceive love. Yeah. So I think that's also important. But that was so funny that you mentioned how you be out here doing wrestling moves on me. So disturbing, y'all. I be like, I'm a lady. I be like, yo, I'm a lady. What's wrong with you? One time I said to him, like, babe, have you ever heard of soft life? He was like, no, what is that? I'm like, you should like look into that. Like, I'm a lady. Like, I don't want to play wrestle. I don't want to do any of that. Like, and it's like, I had to just understand, like, for him, that was one of the ways that he showed love. It's like, we homie lover friends. So if I want to roughhouse with you, and I'd be so pissed when I heard a now, like, because sometimes I'm going to entertain it. But now when the girly parts of me starts being impacted by it, it's like, nah, I don't even want to play anymore. But the last thing that I would say, the last form of advice that I would give, and I think this is so vital to any marriage, to any relationship, right? Even in friendships, like in business endeavors and your individual lives, just all of this. I think the most important thing to tell someone or to tell two people or a group is to keep God first. Mm-hmm. Keep God first. When you keep him at the center of things, and that is in like every aspect, but when you keep him at the center of things, I'm telling you, challenges is going to come, opposition will come, differences will come, right? Through all of the good, through all of the, you know, the loving moments and the good moments, and like, you know, where favor and the blessings, all of that great things, we cannot dismiss the fact that challenges come about, opposition comes about, like these different things, they come about, differences come about. But I think that when you keep God first and you have God at the center, then you can weather the storms that life brings. You can weather the storms that love brings. You can weather these different things, because it's just like, look, if God is for us, who and what could be against us? If God is with us, then he's more than every situation, than the world. He's more than anything else that even tries to rise up against us. Like, we're gonna be good. And I feel like that's something for me that I've taken rest in. Like, God is at the center of this. Like, not only do we keep God first, but God is at the center of this. And because I know that God is at the center, then it's like, it don't matter what comes up. Like, yo, God is at the center of this. So we're gonna be good. We're gonna find a way to navigate through. We're gonna pray our way through. We're gonna talk our way through, communicate our way through. But I know for certain that I could take rest in the fact that we'll be good, and what God has put together, no man or nothing will put asunder, because of the simple fact that we're keeping him at the center. So that's one thing. That's like the best advice and the most important advice that I would give anyone. And that's just like, that's in marriage, that's in every aspect of life. Keep God first and keep him at the center, and you'll be all right. You'll be all right.
I couldn't have said that any better, babe. Yeah, that was the nail.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I have anything else. Do you have anything else?
I think I'm good.
All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Listen, so I told you guys at the start of this episode that God's been laying some things on our heart, and we're like just stepping out of our comfort zone. We're welcoming people into our world. So we have an Instagram page that we have started as, as a family, as a couple. You can follow us on Instagram at the Beausejours, and I'm gonna have to spell that out for you guys because our last name is different. It's unique. Beausejour. So it's at the BEAUSEJOUR. Why are you looking at me with a dead serious face? Babe, I'm not gonna spell our last name wrong. What's wrong with you? He was looking at me like, you better get this right. But follow us on Instagram at the Beausejours, and also like us on Facebook at the Beausejours, and journey with us. Like, there's so much that we'll be unpacking in these coming days concerning just faith, life, marriage, and just life as believers, like life as young adults who are believers, who is walking with God. And yeah, you guys get to be in our world and kind of see like how dope we are while still representing Christ. Because there's this misconception that people have that when you come to Christ, you gotta lose the essence of who you are and lose your dopeness. So yeah, but that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. So follow us on Instagram at the Beausejours, like us on Facebook at the Beausejours, and then also I told you guys that Healing the Soul podcast is now available on YouTube. So you guys can go ahead and subscribe on YouTube, share this podcast with a friend, with a family member, with a relative, and follow the podcast on YouTube at Saved with Sauce. That's at Saved with Sauce. And then also you can follow me on Instagram at Saved with Sauce, and just continue to stay tuned for the updates, for the little reels and snippets of everything concerning Healing the Soul podcast, and continue to stay tuned for Mr. Beausejour being on the show. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'm looking forward to the days to come.
Yeah, truly appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for listening in, and this is us being out.
Right, as I always say, let's journey together, let's thrive, and let's heal.